Hello student, Jai Swaminarayan. Next topic is forestry. Forests are a valuable resource providing food, shelter, wildlife habitat, fuel, daily supplies such as medical ingredients and paper. Forest plays an important role in balancing the Earth's CO2 supply and exchange, acting as a key link between the atmosphere, geosphere, hydrosphere. Tropical rainforests, in particular, house an immense diversity of the species, more capable of adapting to and therefore surviving changing environmental conditions than monoculture forests. This diversity also provides habitat for the numerous animal species and is an important source of medical ingredients. The main issue concerning forest management are the depletion due to the natural causes, that is fires, infections, etc., or human activity, that is clear cutting, burning, land conservation, and monitoring of the health and growth for effective commercial exploitation and conservation. Humans generally consider the products of the forest useful rather than the forests themselves, and so extracting the wood is a widespread and historical practice, virtually global in scale. Depletion of the forest resources have long-term effect on the climate, soil conservation, biodiversity, and hydrological regimes, and thus is a vital concern of environmental monitoring activities. That means फॉरेस्ट कट करते हैं तो उसकी वजह से बहुत एटमॉस्फेयर में इफेक्ट करता है, जो भी अराउंड फॉरेस्ट के अराउंड एटमॉस्फेयर है उस पर भी इफेक्ट करता है. ओके, देन hydrological regimes, and thus is a vital concern of environmental monitoring activities. Then commercial forestry is an important industry throughout the world. Forests are cropped or reharvested and the new areas continuing south for the providing a new source of lumber. With increasing pressure to conserve native and virgin forest areas and unsuitable forestry practice limiting the remaining areas of the potential cutting, and companies involved in extracting the wood supplies need to be more efficient, economical, and aware of the sustainable forest practices. Ensuring that there is a healthy regeneration of the trees where the forests are extracted will ensure a future for the commercial forestry farms, as well as the adequate wood supply to meet the demand of the growing population. That means कितना जो भी फॉरेस्ट है उसमें से कितना ट्रीज कट होता है, उसकी वजह से क्या इफेक्ट होता है. ओके, देन दूसरा कोई जगह पे वुड का अभी बहुत डिमांड है, तो वुड टिम्बर हमें चाहिए, तो उसके लिए कौन सा क्रॉप ग्रो करना चाहिए जिससे जो फॉरेस्ट का जो भी वेजिटेटिव कवर जो भी है फॉरेस्ट में उस पर कोई इफेक्ट ना पड़े. ओके, तो लोग अभी फॉरेस्ट क्या बोलते हैं, ट्रीज वगैरह कट करते हैं, उसकी वजह से एटमॉस्फेयर में भी बैलेंस नहीं रहता है. ओके, वो एटमॉस्फेयर भी इनबैलेंस हो जाता है. ओके, जो भी CO2 O2 उसका जो भी ये प्रोपोर्शन रहना चाहिए वो नहीं रहता है, उसकी वजह से एटमॉस्फेयर पे भी इफेक्ट पड़ता है. ओके, तो वो सब जानना है तो हमें रिमोट सेंसिंग का यूज करना चाहिए. कोई जगह पे कॉमर्शियल पर्पस के लिए या वुड एडिक्वेट वुड सप्लाई करना है. ओके, तो वहाँ पे भी हमें कितना क्रॉप ग्रो करना चाहिए वो सब भी हमें इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए. तो फिर इसमें से मिल जाएगा कि यहाँ पे डिमांड है तो यहाँ पे इतना क्रॉप ग्रो कर सकते हैं और उसको यूज कर सकते हैं कि जो भी फॉरेस्ट में जितना भी वेजिटेटिव कवर है उस पर इफेक्ट ना पड़े. Non-commercial sources of the forest depletion includes removal for the agriculture, urban development, droughts, desert damage, fire, and other natural phenomena. In some areas of the world, particularly in the tropics, forests are covering what might be considered the most valuable commodity, viable agricultural lands. फॉरेस्ट आर बर्न और क्लियर कट, कोई जगह पे आग वगैरह लगी है तो क्यों वेस्ट होता है? एक तो कट करने से प्रॉब्लम होता है। ओके, देन नेक्स्ट क्या होता है, वहाँ पे फायर की वजह से भी वो फॉरेस्ट पे इफेक्ट पड़ता है। ओके, तो ये सब ध्यान रखने के लिए क्या रिमोट सेंसिंग डेटा का यूज होता है। Then loss of the groundwater, insect damage, fire, other natural phenomena in some areas of the world, particularly in the tropic rainforest, are covering what might be considered and the most valuable commodity. Viable agricultural land, forests are burned or clear cut to facilitate the access to and use of the land. This practice often occurs when the perceived need for long-term sustainability is overwhelming by short-term substance goals. Not only are the depletion of the species-rich forests a problem affecting local and regional hydrological regime, and the smoke caused by the burning trees pollutes the atmosphere, adding more CO2 and furthering the greenhouse effect. Of course, monitoring the health of the forest is crucial for the sustainability and conservation issues. Then depletion of the key species such as mangrove in environmentally sensitive coastline areas, the removal of the key support or shade trees from a potential crop tree, and the disappearance of a large biota acting as a CO2 reservoir all affect the humans and society in a negative way, and more effort is being made to monitor the enforce regulations and plan to protect these areas. That means कोई भी जगह पे हमने क्रॉप ग्रो किया है, फॉर एग्जांपल वो क्रॉप हम कट कर देते हैं या फायर की वजह से क्रॉप नहीं रहता, क्रॉप पे इफेक्ट पड़ता है, तो जो भी वेजिटेटिव कवर है उस पे इफेक्ट पड़ेगा और उसकी वजह से जो जिस प्रकार से वेजिटेशन कवर CO2 और O2 में बैलेंस होना चाहिए वो नहीं होगा, उसकी इफेक्ट हमारे हेल्थ पे पड़ेगी। तो इसलिए ये सब हमें ध्यान में रखना चाहिए। Then international and domestic forestry application where the remote sensing can be utilized include the sustainable development, biodiversity, land title, then tenure monitoring, reforestation, then reforestation monitoring, managing commercial logging operations, shoreline watershed protection, biophysical monitoring, and other environmental concerns. General forest cover information is valuable to developing countries with the limited previous knowledge of their forestry resources. General cover type mapping, shoreline watershed mapping, monitoring for the protection, monitoring of the cutting practice, then regeneration and forest fire, then bond mapping are global needs which are currently being addressed by the Canadian and foreign agencies and companies employing remote sensing technology as part of their information solution in foreign markets. Forestry application of the remote sensing include the following. Objective to be made by national forest environment agencies includes the forest cover updating, then depletion monitoring, then measuring the biophysical property of the forest stands, forest cover type discrimination, then agroforestry mapping, etc. Then commercial forestry. Of the importance to commercial forestry companies and to resource management agencies are inventory and mapping applications, collecting the harvest information, updating of the inventory information for the timber supply, broad forest type, vegetation density, biomass measurements, etc. clear-cut mapping, regeneration assessment, burn delineation, infrastructure mapping, operation support, forest inventory, biomass estimation, species inventory, etc. Then environmental monitoring, conservation authorities are concerned with the monitoring the quantity, health, diversity of the earth, forest, deforestation, that means the rainforest, mangrove colonies, etc. Spices inventories, watershed protections, and coastal protections. Then from forest health and the Canadian requirement for forestry application information differs constantly from the regional and to the part of the forest health. Contrast in tree size, species diversity versus species rich forest and agroforestry practices. The level of the accuracy and resolution of the data required to address respective forestry issues differ accordingly, and Canadian agencies have extensive prior knowledge of their forestry resources and present inventory and mapping needs are often capably addressed by available data sources. For the Canadian applications requirements, high accuracy for accurate information content, multispectral information, fine resolution, and data continuity are the most important. There are requirements for the large volume data, reliable observation for the seasonal coverage. There is a need to balance spatial resolution with the required accuracy and costs of the data, identifying and monitoring the clear cuts, burn and fire mapping, collecting forest harvest information and identify the forest general forest damage. Spatial coverage of the 100 to 10,000 km square is appropriate for the district to provincial scale forest cover and clear cut mapping, whereas 1 to 100 km square coverage is the most appropriate for the site specific vegetation density and volume studies. The next one is tropical forest managers will be most concerned with having a reliable data source capable of imaging during the critical time periods and therefore unhindered by atmospheric conditions. Then next one is clear-cut mapping and deforestation. The deforestation is a global problem with many implications. In industries, Europe, pollution has damaged a large percentage of the forest land, and in the formal, one half of the forests are destroyed or damaged from the pollutants. Similar effects are felt in Germany, Poland, and even in other countries. In tropical countries, valuable rainforest is being destroyed in an effort to clear potentially valuable agriculture and pasture land. This has resulted in huge losses of the tropical rainforest throughout the Latin America, South Africa, and Asia. In both Haiti and Madagascar in particular, the results have been devastating. The loss of forests increases the soil erosion, rivers siltation and deposition, affecting navigation, fisheries, wildlife habitat and drinking water supplies, as well as farming productivity and self-sufficiency. The rate and extent of the deforestation as well as the monitoring regeneration are the key parameters measured by remote sensing methods. The remote sensing brings together a multitude of tools to better analyze the scope and scale of the deforestation problem. Multi-temporal data provides for change detection analysis. Images of the earlier years are compared to the recent scenes to tangibly measure the difference in the sizes and extent of the clear cuts or loss of the forest. Data from a variety of sources are used to provide complementary information. Radar merged with optical data can be used to efficiently monitor the status of the existing clear cuts or emergence of the new ones, and even assess regeneration condition in countries where the cutting is controlled and regulated. Remote sensing serves as a monitoring tool to ensure the companies to following cut guidelines and specifications. High resolution data provides a detailed view of the forest depletion, while radar can provide a view that may otherwise be obscured by the clouds. All remote sensing devices, however, provide a view of often remote and inaccessible areas where illegal cuts or cutting or damage could continue unnoticed for a long time or period if aerial surveillance wasn't possible. कौन से डेटा रिक्वायर है उसका है okay. Then next one is species identification and typing. Background: forest cover, typing, species identification are the critical to both forest conservation managers and forestry companies interested in their supply inventory. Forest cover typing can consist of residence map over large area, while species inventories are highly detailed measurement of the stand contents and characteristics, that is tree type, height, density, etc. Why remote sensing? Remote sensing provides a means of quickly identifying and delineating the various forest types, a task that would be difficult and time consuming using the traditional ground service. Data is available at the various scales and resolutions to satisfy the local or regional demand. Large-scale species identification can be performed with the multispectral, hyperspectral, air photo data, etc. While small-scale cover type delineation can be performed by radar, multispectral data interpretation. Both imaginary and the extracted information can be incorporated into a GIS to further analyze or present with the ancillary data such as slopes, ownership boundaries, or roads, etc. Hyperspectral imagery can provide a very high spatial resolution while capturing extremely fine radiometric resolution data. This type of detailed spectral information can be used to generate the signatures of the vegetation species and certain stresses, that is inflections on the streets, and the hyperspectral data offers a unique view of forest cover and available only through the remote sensing technology. Thank you.